Hey, y'all. I know you haven't seen me in forever, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was Miss Katie Joy Paulson's ridiculousness. This gave me a laugh this week, and I've had a very unlaughable time recently. So basically, what happened, and I could probably do screen caps and put those up, but it's been one of those weeks. Katie was going after Rachel Ziegler social media post. The lady that plays Snow White, I guess. I don't know. I live in Costa Rica. I have difficulty seeing newest movies and things because the nearest movie theater, I think right now is San Jose. It's quite a ways away. There used to be one in Liberia, but it shut down. So this is one of those things that when it comes out on HBO or Netflix or whatever, I'll be watching it. If you know who I am, great. If you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Tinkermeyer. I used to have a column called No Longer Quivering over on Pathos, where I talked about the quiverful Christianity, evangelicalism, which is what led me to this lady. And I have spent the better part of the last year barely talking about Katie Joy Paulson because it just got too petty and too much. But the silly brings out the silly. Apparently, Katie Joy attacked the Snow White actress because of one of her comments that she made about the Palestinian Israel conflict, which is sure enough a horrible thing. And it was one of the things I was hoping that Trump would do. He swore he was going to get everything, all the wars ended, all that. That's not quite how it worked out so far. And he's talked about it a whole pile of times, but I haven't seen it yet. Okay, so this lady mentioned something in support of the Palestinians. Hey, Irene Jane, you can't see chat. I don't know why. Um, and so far, there's been no one in chat but you. So the lady supported Palestine because of everything that's going on there, and Katie took the worst possible stance you could. He talked about. Let's see if I can even pull direct comments. I'm trying to look it through this. Basically, what she said is that all Palestinians were Hamas, and just as well. I haven't done this in so long. I'm kind of fumbling around trying to figure out what to say because it's just been one of those months. I'm going to say months. Katie Joy went after the star of Snow White, Rachel Ziegler, because she did in support of Palestine. She made a comment in support of Palestine based upon what's going on right now in the Middle East, which is a sure enough terrible thing. And many people are opposed to what's going on with Israel and Palestine right now because they're pretty much wiping out everybody in the Gaza Strip. It's a horrible situation. It's one that I have looked at and watched, and it's just like, oh my gosh, because it's hard to believe that in this day and time that anybody would support that kind of behavior from any, you know. Oh, there we go. Okay. So basically, the actress said, "Free Palestine." Katie Joyce said, "Palestine is controlled by Hamas. Their citizens support Hamas." One of the things that's interesting about this is Katie went way out of her way to take all of this down immediately because she got shellacked and torn apart in the comments by everybody. And people were saying things like, why do ordinary Palestinian women and kids have to be killed by the Israelis when they're innocent? It's like calling all Afghani people Talibans. when those innocents suffered at the hands of terrorism. That's exactly what it's like. And it's always the women and the children that pay the price for these stupid things. And people started saying that they were going to unfollow her because of this, that it was going to wreck her channel. Katie Joy said, Palestine is Hamas. Hamas. Somebody said, yikes, this is not the take for you to take. You've clearly never spoken to a Palestinian before or read any of the history. You can find both Israeli and Palestinian scholars, Rashid Khalida, Ilan Papp, who can teach you about the violent expulsion of Palestinians that continue to this day as the root of violence in that region. You can read or listen to YouTube videos from several Jewish Israeli scholars of the Holocaust and genocide studies who called out the Israeli government for committing genocide in Gaza. I'm going to get spanked over all this, I know, but I don't really care. You can watch the Oscar winning No Other Land or the Jewish American documentary Israelism to start unlearning the Western propaganda you've clearly been blinded with. People are asking stuff like, how does a free Palestine post equal to supporting Hamas? He's literally calling to an end of occupation and killing of Palestinians, which everyone who isn't blinded by hate should do after more than a full year of genocide and following. Then she comes back with Palestine is Hamas. So more people tried to correct her. And she came back with, they are not suffering from genocide. Hamas and their leaders want to eradicate all Jewish people and destroy Israel. You are suffering from free Palestine propaganda. Somebody asked her, do you believe all Palestinians are guilty of terrorism? I know the facts. The facts are the entire Free Palestine movement is propaganda from terrorists. Not any such thing. I could tell her if she did any kind of reading about this. And there are Jewish scholars that support Free Palestine. Okay. This is not just an Israeli Arab issue. This is an issue of children and women being slaughtered for religious ideology, which is wrong. So then she goes to say, Katie does, you can't negotiate with terrorists. The war started because Hamas attacked Israel, period. Well, actually, no, it goes way farther back than that. Way farther back. She doesn't seem to understand that it does. It's not an easy, it's not an easy history or an easy task to get rid of this. Somebody asked her, explain why not one Palestinian citizen, never mind, it's one of her little supporters. People are saying things like, I'm surprised by this comment. I'm going to unfollow you. And then you shouldn't be. I'm not ignorant. Palestine is Hamas. Hamas is terrorism. I'm surprised you endorse terrorism. No such thing. Are there Hamas in the West Bank and in Palestine? Well, there were. I don't think they're there anymore. I think that pretty much everything has been ruined there. I have no respect for any nation that bombs hospitals full of women and children, that openly kills women or children. Just like I don't like what Russia has been doing to the Ukraine. I don't like what the Israelites, what am I doing? Tell them on drugs. The Israelis are doing to the Palestinians. You cannot just wipe out an entire civilization and pretend you are the good guy. And I did have to laugh because a bunch of people did say free Palestine, and she didn't like that with the Palestinian flag. I like this one. Gentle reminder to your critical thinking skills. It's been a long, long time. Yeah, it definitely has. Well, I have been better, I've been worse. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute, in a minute, in a minute. You see someone, yeah, someone finally showed up. Ambulance girl. Gentle reminder to your critical thinking skills. Her political views weren't in a Disney movie. It was on her personal social media, which we're all allowed to have, even her. And it's the colonizing witch we've boycotted, you silly goose. Very true. So that was the end of it. She posted this thing and everybody came after her. She lost a lot of followers. Then she turned around and removed the entire post. I haven't talked about her in nearly a year. I haven't kept up with her. This crossed my Reddit feed, and I was just like, what? I don't usually don't come on here and throw my political opinions about. I've done it a few times since the first of the year, but I have been too busy with other stuff. My husband's cancer is back. Tried right now to arrange for him to have chemo and radiation in San Jose. We're going to be down in San Jose for some time. So you may see me posting video of my time in San Jose because there's a lot going on. And I'm gonna have a lot of time to do nothing there instead of here where there's always something that has to be done. There's always some chore that needs to be done. Gonna be living in a hotel room for like 6 weeks. I am so sorry. Oh, well, it is what it is, but thank you so much. Thank you so much because I've known for a while now, probably 3 or 4 weeks. I suspected before that based on some things. I suspected. And we're just gonna go with he's in his 70s now, so it's not unheard of, these things. He had a radical prostatectomy just over a year ago. It's popped up again, so they're gonna go with the radiation first and go from there. So that's what's going on. Thanks, ambulance girl and everyone else. Yeah, he is a fighter. He is a fighter. We're gonna be fighting because we have knocked heads recently over this and the best way to go about it. One of the struggles that I have had is I have been on the phone with the insurance company, I don't know how many times. One of the problems that I'm having is with the clinic that's going to be doing this, with the hospital, and with my insurance not coming together the right way. And it took me a while to figure out what was going on, but it is the lady who's working in the doctor's office who has dropped the ball and is not doing the right thing. And I've told my husband, it's like, why on earth are we going to be going to this clinic? We can go over here to this one. There's actually a preferred provider. So we're trying to work out where we're going. Hopefully, we're hoping it could happen as soon as Monday. So I wanted to come on here and talk about that a little bit and say, I've cried my tears. I've had my problems. Since this came out, I've had asthma, cold, asthma, stomach flu, asthma, cold, and I feel like I'm getting sick again. So it's been one thing or another to the point where I can't even go outside right now. The asthma's so bad. And I have to think it's because of the anxiety that's going on. But I've had anxiety since the first of the year, so that's no big deal. They are never reasonable. I totally understand the drama insurance. This is so bad. It's the person. It is the person I'm dealing with. Because the insurance company yesterday let me listen to the phone call between the insurance company and the lady, and it was a hot mess and the lady lied. So I busted her on it and sent her a message and said, I know for sure that you hung up on the insurance company and you did not finish filling out the prior authorization. One of the things that's a drag about Costa Rica is that Ticos are very kind and nice people, and that's wonderful right up until you have to try and get them to do something. And if they don't know how to do it, or they can't do it, or it's too much trouble, they will blow you off and laugh and smile and say, "Oh, yes, no, we did that," or "No, we're not doing that." Basically, she has said, He's tried to get through authorization, and they have not responded, which is not true. Said that'll be $18,000. While I realize it's a worlds cheaper than it is in the States, I would rather have the 18,000 in my pocket. I would rather not hand it over to them and then turn around and try to get it back from the insurance company. That's where you get into problems. Oh, yeah, it's a run around in frustration. And yeah, I'm sure my immune system's shot. I'm sure it's what's going on. So what I'm gonna do when I get off of here is I'm gonna drink more water. I am gonna take all my medications and read a book. I'm not doing too much else. Husband is out tonight doing some goofy thing with his church that I'm like not interested in doing. That is one problem I have had with the people of his church. They have suggested some of the craziest stuff in the world for killing his cancer, and they're very insistent about it. And have said, you have to not have those treatments and you have to take this drug, this veterinary medicine, and do this and do that, and eat a giant pile of carrots. It's just like, we went through this with my old church where they didn't believe in any kind of medical care whatsoever. They did not believe in medicine whatsoever. And they really screwed me up. I think that's why I'm sicker than I should be at my age because I dealt with that. I dealt with them telling me, hey, you shouldn't say that you have asthma because you're just giving the devil glory with your symptoms. It's like, are you kidding me? Now I look back at my time in my old quiverful church and I realize I really dropped the ball by believing any of that. I should have shut all that nonsense down. But unfortunately, I was not in the, I was going along to get along. Even though I had different thoughts in my head at the time, I was questioning whether my thinking was correct or not. Now I know my thinking was correct. And some of the things that they have preached that you must do are just absolutely wrong. So that's where we are. And that's what we're doing. Tomorrow, I'm going to clean the house and pack. And hopefully on Sunday, we will hear which way or another that this goes and where he goes. And the hospital, wherever we end up. And I've already told him, I don't want to stay in an Airbnb. I don't want to rent an apartment. We're going to get a suite at the hotel across the street from the facility. So they'll only do stagger across the street once a day rather than trying to do driving around. The basis of the organization. Well, the base of that organization is on never questioning. You said it, yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, chronics. I got to figure out. Well, here's another interesting thing here in Costa Rica. Recently, medical marijuana passed, and there are medical marijuana dispensaries here. I use medical marijuana for my asthma. I did long time ago. I got put on it when it first came around in Maryland, and it worked so well. So here, there was no such thing as medical marijuana, so I would sneak out and buy what I needed, make my can of butter, and just try to dose here. But now we have the medical. I just don't know where the nearest dispensary is gonna be to the hospital. I gotta research that before we get there. My mother stayed alive with throat cancer for some years. She was given only 6 months to breast cancer. Okay. Well, that's awesome. Try it for him, even if it's edibles. I think it's gonna have to be edibles for him, and I'm gonna try. I've already, started stocking up on stuff that, I know it will take because he is definitely he's my little baby, so when he gets sick, he's like he gets manfluenza, you know what I mean, when he gets a cold and he's in the bed, "I'm dying," so I went through cancer with him last year. I don't know what this will be like. This could be crazy. This may give me something good to write about, but I've got all my weird little snacks. I am making, ginger beer right now and ginger ale. got the ginger root all dug up and chopped up and fermenting, and bringing all that stuff with me. And you can get a good strain that works for him. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the dispensary here even before we go there and see if I can get him on. He is very opposed to it. He smoked in the late 60s and was not impressed by it, but he has seen that there is medical benefit for certain things. And I've already told him I'm afraid that he'll stop eating. Not that he like me could lose a few pounds, but still, that's a hard way to lose it. So we'll see. Hopefully, radiation has gotten a lot easier through the years, so hopefully he won't have a hard time. Yeah, that's what I have read, that is the best strain of all. That's because it was yeah, I know it was different weed, very different. That's what I tried to explain to, um, some people in my life who use I was like, "This is a totally different thing." I mean, when I make canna butter, I have to use such a tiniest little bit because I get falling down high, and I don't like to be that high. I like to have enough to expand my lungs, but not so much that I'm laying upside down in the bed and staring at the ceiling. That doesn't work for me either. I don't care for that much at all. And here I am talking about using drugs and talking about genocide. So I know damn good and well YouTube is probably going to pull down my video, but that's okay. Hybrid is good for functional. I prefer sativa. Okay, best way to fight my GI issues and chronic pain. That's that's good to know. There is a health food store here in town that I go to, and they have always had all kinds of things like, mushroom teas and things, including, um, psychedelic mushrooms and things I haven't fooled with since I was a teenager, and I'm not fooling with them now, but it's interesting to know that that stuff is completely legal here, and people are doing ayahuasca and all sorts of things. I'm not opposed to herbal medicines. I'm just opposed to the way that it happens in these evangelical churches where they put the doctors down rather than realizing that it all kind of works together. I mean, you want the right things. Like I'm making this ginger solution. I know from past for myself that if I get where I cannot eat with the asthma or drink or sleep or do anything, that I have to have that. I have to have that and I have to have the edibles. And if I have that, then I can turn it off. Ah, go talk to them. Stay away from Delta 9s at the best. I'll have to do that. Um, CBD oil, I have had some luck with it, but not that much. That's what I was initially put on was CBD oil for the asthma, and it helped a little bit. There is also a drug here. Well, not a drug, it's an herb called tilo. And I always keep a big batch of tilo tea or else tilo the sticks of the leaves, and I'll brew my own tea out of it that way because that's really good for asthma too. In fact, they were studying that before RFK Jr. shut down research. That was one of the drugs that they were investigating, one of the herbals they were investigating for asthma was tilo, which is what they take here, and I use it occasionally. It's good, but it's not as good as an edible as it doesn't open me up that much. Gummies are a good way to control. Yep. That's usually what I try to get in gummies. Ginger is great. Yep, it is. Moringa. I have moringa here. It's excellent for cancer type too. I have that. He takes it every day. He takes moringa. Moringa helped my asthma. I haven't taken it, so maybe I will have to try it. Because at this point, I've told him, it's like, I need bowl of cat turds if they told me that's what it took. And God knows I have tried all those crazy things that the people of the church have tried to promote as some kind of miracle cure, and most of them don't help. Some of them do. but most of them are useless. And here we have the yoga heads who want to do stuff like sound bathing, which help with certain things. But I can tell you right now, sound bathing doesn't do anything for my asthma. Neither does yoga. Neither does essential oils. So you really have to be careful because people on both sides will push crazy things on you, and you might try it once or twice and think, well, that won't work. I've heard that. I've heard that the colostrum is good. I have a aunt who has, what they used to call chronic fatigue. I forgot what they call it now. He has used colostrum to really great effect, I believe. So what well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad it's good, Irish Jane, because I've been wanting to come on here so many times. I've been wanting to come on here, but something has stopped me. I don't really have anything to say beyond ranting about my problem with my husband and his cancer. And I could rant about things that are happening with the administration. I don't know about you guys, but I got so completely wrapped up in the news all the time, the negative news spin, reading through and going, well, this is bad. This is not bad. This is bad. And been really freaked out over the whole ending of the DEI hires because that protects those of us that are disabled as well as others. And I've just been really down the dumps because of all of this is happening. And every time you turn around, there's negative news. So I have been not looking at the news much at all. I've been maybe once a day, maybe twice going in. You used it during COVID and was healthier with it. Huh. I may have to. Everyone's different. Yeah, they do. They are different. Yeah, it has been depressing. Very depressing. Western Colorado, and we lost all food services. Ugh, can't imagine. Here, things have gone up some. Some things have not. I was in Costco the other day, and they had 60 eggs for roughly around $3. I mean, I wish you guys were all here because we get eggs very cheaply. And our Social Security, I know, I'm freaking out. Oh, I don't want to know what's gonna happen because I, am retired. I've claimed my Social Security now, and I hope they don't end it for anybody. Know a lot of people in Social Security disability, they're freaking out. It's not a good situation. I don't like that they've ended all cancer research. I don't like that they've ended research on things like biologic medicines, which kept me alive for 8.5 years when I was having the worst of my mastocytosis and my asthma. It helped tremendously. We're struggling. Everybody's starting to grow vegetables now. I'm starting to do the same. I am blessed. I live in Massachusetts. You most certainly are. I'm glad I'm a vegetarian. Yeah, I'm okay without eggs. But people here in Colorado are struggling. I know they are. I keep watching the prices and going just like this. And wanting to say, welcome to my world. Here, Costa Rica, they have really high levels of tariffs on everything coming in. It's why you see me a lot of times wear these very cheap little A-line beach dresses. You can get these for like 16, 17, $20. But to buy or import decent clothing, it's a 35 to 40% tariff on it. And so I do all my clothes buying when I go to the States. 7.99 on a head of lettuce. That is pretty crazy because lettuce is actually easy to grow. I've grown it in containers in the past. You can grow it easily indoors if you even had to. My son's health care was also cut. Oh my goodness. I'm about 45 minutes from the Utah border. It's great, crazy scary. I've heard so much about everything going on. And my husband wants to go back in June to the United States, to Maryland, where our kids live. Afraid to go. Go first. the administration of the president we have now, because I work for Pathos, I would get the intensive deep cavity search every time I flew, and the minute that Joe Biden took office, that stopped. So I'm afraid that I'm gonna be picked up by TSA coming into the country and held. I know people who are writers who have been held for 2, 3 weeks without due process coming back into the country. And they, like me, are Americans. Natural born Americans, and they're being held. I don't want that experience, but I may have no choice. I may have to try it and try my chances and come in. It's gotten so bad, we're gonna try again to become residents here and hope that they don't kick out our application because there's not another, hack or another COVID happens. Because during the pandemic, they kicked out everybody's applications. Um, Large and rural states are, yeah, I know, Montana for 30 years. I know that the rural communities are getting it harder and harder than the towns, and first of all, there's not as many opportunities for, services in rural areas, there just aren't, and then when you start cutting stuff left, right, and center, people die. That's what I can't get over in my mind. I mean, it's even to the point where my CPAP machine has come to end of life, and it's sending me messages going, "End of life!" And I would have normally flown back to the States and gotten retested. Guess what? I'm getting the test in San Jose when my husband's having his, treatments because there is a sleep clinic there, and I will gladly pay out of pocket to avoid US healthcare. Please document everything to protect yourself. Yeah, I have been. I have been, and I'm planning to. We're being screwed. They cut us in January, my medical transport services, food in schools now. Oh, goodness, Social Security. These rural states need solar heated hot houses. Yes, exactly. They sure do. They sure do. So it's oh, and because of Airbnb, I had to extend my fence at the back. There's an Airbnb behind us, and those lunatics, for some reason, decided the people who are staying there asked the owner about that big pool in the distance, which was ours, which is behind a 10-foot wall. But because they're here and we're there, they saw and they started knocking on my gate wanting to use my pool and say, "Well, the Airbnb owner told me I could." It's like, "This is my pool, fool." So we had to put up on top of the concreto, the concrete, we had to put up another level, but not concrete because of the weight of it, but just thin metal and disguise that we're behind the fence so they can't see over anymore. And we had to do that because of that, and they had spotlights and this huge area they had outside where they had set up where they were playing music and stuff. The problem was they had floodlights and it was coming up over the wall, and I was just not liking it. Oh my goodness. I'm a white American, not on any assistance to clarify, I'm just a true fellow American. That's the thing. I oh my goodness. I just can't believe all the stories everybody's telling me about um what's going on with healthcare in the States. And I know it's true because last year my husband was in the healthcare in the States for like a week. It was one of the worst experiences ever. And I had forgotten what America was like. And then he was in the hospital and it was terrible. And it's gotten so much worse since we moved here 8 years ago. Last year, before he went back to the States, not this past Christmas, but the one before, Christmas 2023, he got scratched by one of our feral cats we feed. We feed a whole pile of them. We went to the doctor the next day. They looked at it, they cleaned it out, they put him on antibiotics and said, "Well, if it gets worse when you're in the States, go to the doctor and have them change the antibiotics. We're gonna go ahead and culture it." We went to the States 2 days later. 2 days after that, his arm swelled up and he couldn't use it, so we went to the ER where it took 9 hours to be seen. And then when they saw him, they were all freaking out, and the, hand surgeon had to come and all of that, and they started insisting that he get rabies shots. Rabies in cats and dog population here doesn't exist. They don't do rabies shots for that. We'd already been told you didn't need rabies shots. So he got the horrible rabies shots, and he stayed at ER almost 3 days before they found a bed for him upstairs. And they were talking about doing surgery. Thankfully, they did not have to. Hey, Yolanda. Hey, yeah, so that's the deal. I was watching people freaking out because they couldn't get healthcare. And he was in there for so long and they were doing everything. And there were very few people working in the hospital. I was really shocked. This is the University of Maryland. This is supposed to be a teaching hospital with lots of people. It wasn't. Yeah. Sorry you're late too. I didn't know I was gonna come on tonight, but I started looking at somebody sent me a link to on Reddit, Katie Joy lining up with Israel, and people were eating her lunch or approving of the wholesale slaughter of the Palestinians. And she basically took it down and ran like she always does when she is confronted by something serious. She pretends it didn't exist. Well, that's what she's doing. I have not spoken of her or looked at her in like a year, and I saw that and just busted out laughing. She take the wrong tack on everything. And but then you delete it all when it goes sideways and people start saying, "Hey, now," start losing people left, right, and center. So I recently in December was supposed to get a brain scan. I was pre-approved, and then the day of the scan, I was told I needed 6 weeks of physical therapy for migraines. Oh, the scan was to, yeah, look for tumors. Yeah, no, I'm familiar with that. I don't know if you can still see the scars, but I have a scar here. I had a scar here. I have a scar here on my shoulder blade. When I had carpal tunnel, I had let it go so long that it wasn't just here, it was here and here. I was having all the way, and they had to do a release here and here too. And my insurance company made me wait 9 months and do 2 rounds of physical therapy and failed physical therapy before they would approve the surgery. And it was a problem I had for years, and it is not a serious problem like brain tumors would be. So why they're making you jump through hoops, it's just incredibly silly. Incredibly silly. If you lived here, they just take you back. They say, "Okay, we're gonna do this." You haven't seen anything of her, so you're probably better off. Because, like I said, my world is much nicer without her, but with all the political things going on, it's just like boom, boom, yeah. Yeah, I don't understand what is going on with American healthcare. I don't understand why they're running it like they are. Because 'cause they're gonna start killing people the way that they're denying care and various things. People are running away from the US, which I don't blame at all. I did the same thing 8 years ago. This is my husband's dream, not mine to move here. This is wanting to be near the beach. I didn't care where we lived. $1,500 for the pre-approved? Oh my goodness. Mariah, it's wrong. I'm worried about my American friends too because it's nuts. Like you said, it's nuts. Here, the healthcare is not even a fraction. Like I said, 6 weeks of radiation therapy would run I'm so dinged out, 18K, and that's a fraction compared to what it would be in the States, I'm sure. When I had my stroke, my entire bill was $4,000. The insurance picked it all up. In the States, that would have been a 50 or $60,000 bill. It's just nuts. The prices are completely out of line in the US, and I've talked about this before. The amount of Lyrica I'm on a month for the stroke would run $1,600 a month without insurance in the US. I get it for about $80 a month here before insurance. Have great healthcare here in Canada. So I've heard. The only thing is if you need anything super specialized, it's not the best for that. Because when I was on Xolair for 8.5 years, we had people begging for funding for Canada so that they could be on Xolair because it was so incredibly expensive per month. Nerve pain, it helps. It is great. They cut you off? Why? Why would they cut you off from that? It's that drug is a miracle as far as I'm concerned, and they've tried me on Neurontin. When I had no effect from Neurontin. The only thing that happened with Neurontin of note was I had a glass of wine one evening and got vomited after, and I'm not a drinker. I like my glass of wine once in a great while. So I learned don't drink if you're on some of these drugs, and, just been real careful with that. I better go. I'm starting to lose my voice and my brain, but I just wanted to hop on here and rant about I couldn't believe what was said and, go back to lurking and not saying a thing about her. Not covered. They decided to put me back on gabapentin. I had a terrible time with that. And that stuff made me run in the walls. I couldn't walk right. It was terrible. Did not help my pain. Didn't help my pain either, but Lyrica sure did. And Yvonne, you said you can't take Lyrica. It all depends. I have friends that can't take it. For me, it's been a godsend. Before that, I had trouble sleeping because the nerve pain was so severe. Yeah, I sleep like a log. I just to quote Victoria Ratliff on The White Lotus, "Sleep like a corpse." Well, taking that, so that's a good thing. Love you guys. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening to me rant on, and I will see you later. Be praying for all of you with health issues myself, and we'll see. Swollen ankles and hands from there. I get the swollen ankles, but what the hell? If that's the only side effect I get, I can handle it. Love you guys.